Oh boy, golly now. Welcome to the Uplift. We got a great show for you, a great cast of characters as well, including these. A man who saved an egg for more than 70 years, just a regular guy. Why'd he do it? Well, there was an intriguing message written on the shell. That led him to do some detective work, and you guessed it, he cracked the case. Also, a young surfer using his passion to help others. There he is. And a baker using her business to teach people about politics? Yep, we'll take you to the Bipartisan Bakery. Also, a shy high school senior who found her place on the football field. Plus, meet a man who swam across the North Pole and completed other extraordinary feats. But why does he do it? Dana Jacobson meets up with him along the path of his most recent endurance swim. And we go to the so-called Pumpkin Town and meet a grower hoping to impress with his giant gourd. Talking about the gourd still, all that and more. You're watching The Uplift. Hey, I'm Tony DeCopel, and this is a show that lifts you up for at least the next 30 minutes. You, I like to say, and me as well. And we're going to begin with a man who saved an egg for more than 70 years. Why? It had an intriguing message written on the shell, and he finally cracked the case. Mr. Steve Hartman has more.
For John Amalfitano, the past is ever present. Everywhere you look in his Dunellen, New Jersey home, there are relics from a bygone era.
I don't know what it is with me. I mean, I just have a connection with old stuff.
And he says no connection runs deeper than the curio in this cabinet.
That's the oddest thing of all.
It's a chicken egg, bequeathed to John by a neighbor who found it in a carton of eggs in 1951. The neighbor saved it because of the note. Whoever gets this egg, please write. Signed, Miss Mary Foss, Forest City, Iowa. John says his neighbor held on to the egg for 50 years and never looked for her. Then John held on to it for another 20 before finally posting pictures on the Weird and Wonderful Secondhand Finds Facebook page. To its 3 million members, he pondered, wonder if she might still be alive.
So, all those people who had egg on their Facebook hatched a plan, scrambled, tried hard to find this Mary Foss. After 72 years, they expected an exhausting search that would not be over easy. But they cracked the case in less than a day. And for those of you keeping track at home, that was 8 puns in 15 seconds. Do you remember writing on that egg?
Oh my goodness, yes.
And you were hoping to find someone to be a pen pal?
Well, who knows? We all dream.
Mary is now 92, but as a teenager working in an egg packing plant like this one, Mary says she used to dream of meeting someone in a far-off place. That fragile little message in a bottle, her way of reaching out.
Yes.
And now, 72 years later, she has finally made her connection.
And here it is.
How are you, egg?
This week, they came face to face for the first time.
And I hope we get to see you again.
Would you want to meet John in person?
Oh, I'd love to meet God, wouldn't you?
Oh. John.
Oh, John. Not really. I have no desire to meet the guy. He's got his problem. Keeping an egg that long.
Yeah, you're saving 70-year-old eggs. Yeah, you got a point there.
Well, and when you get to be my age, you meet a lot of kooks.
Sorry, John. Looks like the yoke's on us.
There's my uplifting ending.
Steve Hartman on the road in Mason City, Iowa.
How you like your egg?
I love a good Steve Hartman story. All right, a 1,000-pound gray giant recently made its way from the San Diego Zoo to the Sacramento Zoo, becoming the first animal of its kind there. You have a guess on what this gray giant is? CBS Sacramento's Hunter Sowards has the answer.
This is Jay Greg, or Jay Gregory.
Making his grand entrance.
He's a really chill, calm dude.
A massive milestone for the Sacramento Zoo, welcoming their very first rhino.
We're really, really excited, and we got a super awesome rhino, too.
Checking out his new digs after taking the trek from SoCal.
He did a wonderful job of having 6 little babies in his time at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park.
To NorCal.
He is now at retirement age, so he's no longer like the most valuable male in our southern white rhino captive population.
The move, all part of the species survival plan, helping promote genetic diversity. And it actually mimics similar male rhino behavior that you would see in the wild.
They're not necessarily as tightly fit into a crash of rhinos or a group of rhinos.
And yeah, transporting a several 1,000-pound animal 7 hours by crate is no small feat.
We were expecting great results, and he surpassed even that. It was a really, really smooth process.
San Diego wildlife specialists say collaboration with Sacramento started months in advance, readying the exhibit that once belonged to the African bongo antelope, where Jay Gregg is ready to barrel into the hearts of visitors soon.
This is such an honor.
And while his arrival is historic, it's also educational.
This is a great opportunity for them to have a rhino up there and educate the public on all the great conservation work that can be done for rhinos.
Their numbers are threatened in the wild. White rhinos themselves are at a vulnerable status.
Ticket sales go towards helping conservation efforts.
By coming here and paying for a ticket to come into the zoo to see all of our animals, you actually help directly supporting rhinos in the wild.
Look at that horn. All right, to our next story. We'll take you to Pumpkin Town. That is Half Moon Bay, California. Why did it receive that nickname? I was wondering that. We will tell you. Plus, how do cookies and politics go hand in hand when they have no hands at all? Well, a baker from California shows how she is using these sweet treats to teach. It's a good idea. We take you now to Half Moon Bay, California, a.k.a. Pumpkin Town. Why is it called that? Well, CBS Bay Area's Sean Chitness shows us.
Walking through the pumpkin patch that is the front of Gary Miller's property in Napa, you learn quickly what makes this a magical experience year after year.
The only thing you have to do is to see a child light up when the first time that they see one of these giants.
It's the part of a fairy tale that can come to life for all ages each fall. And by October, Gary has a few pumpkins he can show off, all worthy of competition.
If you can control the weather, you can control the size of your pumpkins usually.
What he can control is how well he protects each pumpkin. Tarps to keep away animals, blankets and sprinklers to cool down from the heat, even styrofoam to help roots from bruising the sides, and a fan when he needs to dry off a certain part of the pumpkin.
If you grow organically and everything you put on that is organic, you're bettering the soil.
Gary showed us a few big pumpkins before letting us see the one that he will weigh in at Half Moon Bay.
This is the kind of pumpkin, when you go to the pumpkin patch, you're trying to find the perfect pumpkin. Well, this would be in that category.
He thinks it's the best shape he's ever seen on one of his own. So good, a fairy godmother couldn't have done better with her wand.
You can imagine carving this out and Cinderella getting in, to go to the ball.
And while it won't be taking anyone to the castle, Gary hopes it brings home first place at the festival this week.
I think it's got a pretty good shot, Gary. Thank you for that piece out of Half Moon Bay. We turn now to a California baker serving up more than just sweets. She's also giving people lessons in politics. And CBS Sacramento's Rachel Wolf takes us now into the Bipartisan Bakery.
Part of why I wanted to start this is just to educate people about how to get involved with government.
Sydney Schlinger has a recipe for success.
It's been like a couple of years in the making.
After serving her constituency for then-Senator Kamala Harris on Capitol Hill, she realized
a lot of people don't know how government even works.
So she took her political perspective and passion and put them to work, coming up with what some thought was a half-baked business plan.
A lot of people are like, that doesn't make sense. Like how those aren't related.
This bipartisan baker created Capital Cakery, naming each of her sweet treats after politicians from the left and the right.
Either folks that I've met or have worked with or know something a little bit about.
There's the Kamala Harris peanut butter cookie, the Steve Scalise, the Doris Matsui salted caramel tart, and the most expensive, the Bernie Sanders, at $37 a dozen.
As much as people like to make fun of the independent on the menu, he is my bestseller right now.
There are cakes, pies, and cupcakes, each recipe approved by a county health inspector.
He checks and makes sure there's no prohibited ingredients and that everything is, shelf stable, and then he approves or denies the recipes. So unfortunately, I've had a few denied.
That's right, they were vetoed.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, only I am the, 2/3 majority that has to overcome the veto.
It's all about reaching across the aisle, a cookie consensus with a little lesson.
And to top it all off, a QR code where you can go find more information about Kamala Harris.
So if politics leaves a bad taste in your mouth, set bias aside and take a bite. And if you elect not to, well, that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
I love that. Beautiful story. All right, coming up in just a moment, meet the self-proclaimed shy teen who really comes alive on the football field. Plus, a young surfer uses his passion to help others. High school senior Alyssa Laureano is a self-described shy person, but on the football field, there is no doubt she comes alive. CBS Sacramento's Socorro Gray has our story.
If you've seen the Mesa Verde football team in action, you may have noticed a ponytail hanging out of one of the helmets.
She's strong, man. She be hitting everybody, to be honest. I mean, she's hit a couple of the big guys and even knocked us on our butts.
He's talking about number 44, senior varsity football player Alyssa Laureano.
I play linebacker, running back, and tight end.
That's right. This soft-spoken student transforms when she hits the turf.
She's definitely a girly girl, and that's the funny thing about it. Like, she does look like that part, but she when it comes to playing, she's not. She gets out there, she's grinding, she's working hard, she's physical.
I'm just kind of shy, but like football, it's just like my place to be.
Laureano played at San Juan High School for 2 years before transferring to Mesa Verde. Last month, she played against her former team in the Citrus Bowl and scored not 1, but 2 touchdowns. She tied the California state record as the second female to do so in a single varsity game.
They don't take it lightly on her, and she takes it.
As for naysayers, sure, there are some, but Laureano keeps her head down and puts in the work.
Yeah, she goes out there and just does her thing.
It's the road less traveled, but Laureano is carving her path with grit and determination.
You might worry about a young lady playing, but she's just like one of the other boys out here. She's just as tough and mentally tough.
Is she like the boys or the boys like a girl? Turns out they are. We now introduce you to our next story involving a 12-year-old using his passion for surfing to help other kids.
For 12-year-old AJ Iredell, surfing isn't just a passion, it's a way of life.
It's a little inconsistent, but
Not bad for a school day.
yeah.
The Phenom took me to one of his favorite breaks in Oceanside, California. What's the
We're paddling out by the rocks right there because there's a rip current right there. It's a conveyor belt. It'll take you right out to the break.
Okay, we're going to use the rip current to get out.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you guys. Iredell started surfing when he was just 3 years old and never stopped.
After I caught my first wave all by myself, like a feeling of accomplishment and like myself saying I can do this.
Now, 9 years later, he's competing and a regional champion, totally at ease surfing in a crowd of people decades older than he is.
So what do you think is your favorite thing about surfing?
The people like that I surf with. Like, it's one thing to be good at surfing, but it's another thing to share it with people.
And he does that regularly, volunteering with Ways of Impact, which provides free surf camps for people with disabilities and other challenges, many of them children.
I love seeing the smile glow on their faces after they've done it. Like, at first, like, the ocean may be a place of fear, but those kids are fearless. Just talking to these kids and seeing what they've gone through, it's crazy, and to know like what we take for granted.
What's that like as a mom to see him want to help other people?
I'm so grateful. I'm truly so grateful.
AJ's mom and dad are his biggest cheerleaders. As one of 5 children in the family, their son learned to be a team player early in life.
I think that he was able to recognize the opportunities that he was given and the people that helped him when he was little. And I think that he's just as excited to be that guy for some of these other little guys.
You get good grades?
Yeah, I try to.
When he's not surfing, AJ somehow finds time for jiu-jitsu, snowboarding, and of course his family.
I'm trying to get my little brother into it. He's about to turn 2.
Does he like it?
Yeah, he loves it.
He's 2. He's old enough now to surf, right?
Yeah, he's old enough.
Are you like training a little surf partner?
Yeah, pretty much.
A kid at heart
That's super fun.
with a giant heart.
The Carter Evans surf stories. Well done. Another good one. All right, coming up, Dana Jacobson meets up with a history-making endurance athlete along the route of his recent swim.
When did it go from enjoying swimming to finding these endurance type of swims?
In 2007, I went to the North Pole and I did a swim there. And this was across an open patch of sea.
Right.
And I remember going into that swim and then coming out the other end and actually feeling that I was a different person.
A colder person as well, but that is inspiring. Find out the reason behind these truly treacherous treks into the water and out, coming up. Lewis Pugh swam across the North Pole, that's just for starters, the English Channel as well, and the Red Sea. And now Dana Jacobson met up with him along the path of his most recent journey and found out the reason behind his extraordinary endurance swims.
Endurance swimmer Lewis Pugh knows exactly how to make a splash. The 53-year-old is the only person to have completed a long-distance swim in every ocean in the world. He's willing to test the waters no matter the adventure. Over the past decade, he's become the first athlete to swim across the North Pole, the English Channel, the Red Sea, even under the Antarctic ice sheet.
When did swimming come into your life?
When I was about 17 years old.
Wow.
You ready? You feeling well? Good luck, my boy.
When did it go from enjoying swimming
Yes.
to finding these endurance type of swims?
In 2007, I went to the North Pole and I did a swim there. And this was across an open patch of sea.
Right.
And I remember going into that swim and then coming out the other end and actually feeling that I was a different person, because I came out of that feeling, wow, you know, this place is melting so quickly. I now have a big responsibility to share this message with the whole world.
It changed your perspective, obviously.
I think it changed me.
Since then, Pugh has been on a mission to complete record-breaking swims in jaw-dropping places, not for the titles or accolades, but to make waves in the conversation about ocean and now river preservation. His latest challenge turned quite a few heads, as he expected it would. In mid-August, Pugh set out on a month-long journey that's never been done before, swimming unassisted from the tip of the Hudson River in the Adirondacks down to the very bottom in Lower Manhattan. That's 315 miles of the infamous river, contaminated by toxic waste throughout the last century before cleanup efforts began in the 1980s.
I want people to know what has happened in the Hudson River.
Yeah.
I think this is a blueprint for people all around the world, that their rivers can be saved.
That there is something that can be done.
Absolutely. People around the world have heard about this as an amazing story about a river which was so badly misused and so badly polluted. I mean, it was one of the most polluted rivers here in America, if not the world, and then things have been turned around.
Enough so that Pugh spent 32 consecutive days in the river, swimming twice a day, both early in the morning and well into the night, to align his swim times with the river's current.
Sometimes I'd be swimming at night and I'd turn onto my back and start doing backstroke, and I'd look at the heavens and you got the big blue moon and all these stars, and it was really, really comforting.
You're going to want to get in here, it's a lot cooler.
I decided to jump in myself.
All right, you convinced me.
On day 25 of the journey, when Pugh had just 50 miles to go. Long distanced from my swim team days, I eased into my stroke. But trust me, Lewis Pugh makes it look easy.
People that I told that I was going to swim with you, there's still people who said, you're getting in the Hudson River, where?
Yes.
So it still has some of that reputation.
I hope we can change that reputation.
Yeah.
I hope more people will swim in this river. This is such a special river.
One that Pew has come to know intimately. And one that drew a crowd of spectators to downtown Manhattan to take in his final stretch within it. But there's one crowd Pew hopes to rally in even larger numbers. Members of the United Nations who have the chance to ratify a new treaty aimed to protect 30% of the world's high seas by 2030.
This is the last piece of the jigsaw puzzle which we needed in order to protect the planet properly. So for me, the mission isn't complete.
Because it's not just the swim.
Because it's not just the swim. I've got to get to the diplomats, I've got to get to the environment ministers, I've got to get to the heads of state now and deliver the message.
Your determination as one person to make world leaders listen, to make people listen, where does that come from?
Deep down in here, I've seen our oceans change, and for me, this is a defining issue of our generation. And in a short period of time, we really have to protect the planet. I love being in the oceans, I love being in rivers. I'm absolutely determined to spend my life doing this work.
Thank you, Dana. That is our show. I hope it brightened your day and lifted you up. I'm confident it did. If for some reason it didn't, you know what I always say, press play again. The reruns, totally free. I'm gonna go find some good news. See you next time.